Hello, my name is Marley Sotomayor, and I'm going to introduce you guys to our new subject, which is international trade. And basically, we're going to talk about the different trade between countries. Why is it so important? What do you need to make a trade between different countries? First of all, I want to start talking about free trade. Now, you guys know that free trade is pretty important. But first of all, what is free trade? Free trade is when two countries trade products, objects, important merchandise between them without actually putting a certain number of quotas, without having to elevate their prices. So it's basically a planning that you do. An example, Mexico and the United States have different trades, where the US doesn't really charge us that much money if we want to export something to their country. And on the other hand, we don't export that much money. We don't charge them much money so that they can import to our country. So, we know basically what free trade is. Like I said, it's really important for both countries to have that. There is no country in the world that does not have a trade with other countries. Every single civilized country has a trade with other countries. Now, why is free trade so important? It is so important because no country depends on themselves. Every single country in the world depends on other countries in order to advance. An example, if our country didn't have oil, which we actually do have a lot, we would need to import it from another country. Now, Mexico is really rich in oil, but we don't have the correct tools or the correct technology to actually export it ourselves. So the United States helps us with our oil. That would just be an example. Another example would be the United States needs our meat. So what we do is we actually export meat to them, we export other products, and so on and so on. There's a lot of countries that don't depend on themselves, they depend on other countries. Other examples would be Spain, how they actually get help from Portugal, from Greece, from Russia. Other examples would be the United Kingdom. Now, there's several trades between the United Kingdom where Ireland helps England, England can help Ireland, Northern Ireland, they can help the islands around them. So each country needs help from other countries. That's why free trade is so important, because you can't play solo on this game. You have to support each other with other countries. Now, another thing why free trade is so important is because every country wants to have this in it. Every country wants to have a good development. Why? Because you get to develop a good economy. That way you have a better lifestyle for every person in your country. Now, here's the thing. In order for you to have development, you need this. You need resources. Resources is what will fuel your development. Now, what do I mean by resources? What do I mean by fuel? There's a lot of things that our country does not have. So since we don't have them, in order for us to develop, we have a free trade with other countries. So you can't have free trade without development, and you can't have development without resources. So those are the main keys, and those are the main words that we actually need for international trade. So the most important thing for every single country is to be developed so they can have a better lifestyle for their whole population. And in order to do that, you need to be friends with other countries, and you need to have trades, you need to have certain plans, you need to have plan A, plan B, sort of like what we used to have, Telecan here, Mexico, Canada, and the United States. That now will be something new. We're going to have a new trade in Northern America. But why did we have that? We had that because we needed to develop as a country. And even though it's true Mexico isn't as developed as everyone would like, we wouldn't have had developed until we are now if we did not have Telecan.
Hi, my name is Gustavo Hernandez, and I'm going to talk about free trade. It may be odd, but governments often step in to restrict trades. But why will they do that? If local industries cannot compete against foreign enterprises, government will restrict trade just to help these local industries to grow up and develop. Governments also restrict trade to foster business rather than encouraging business to move out of the country. This protectionist policies encourages the price to stay high and also helps these local industries to develop. Well, there are three primary means of governments to restrict the trade. First of all, there are the quota systems. Quota systems impose a restriction on the specific number of imports introduced into a country. They also allow governments to have control of the quantity of imports to help protect domestic industries. The second one are the tariffs. Tariffs increase the price that consumers will pay for the good, this reducing the quantity of good demanded and making the price more in line with the price charged with the domestic producers. And the last one are the subsidies. Subsidies are grants given to domestic industries just to help them to develop and to compete with foreign producers. Also, through subsidies, the domestic producers can charge less for the products without losing money, and this is due to the outside grants. Well, now I'm going to talk about the World Trade Organization, or WTO. The World Trade Organization is the only global international organization dealing with the rules of trade between nations. At its heart are the World Trade Organization agreements negotiated and signed by the bulk of the world trading nations and ratified in their parliaments. The goal is to help producers of goods and services, exporters and importers to conduct their business. The World Trade Organization is run by its member governments. All major decisions are made by the membership as a whole, either by ministers that they usually meet them at least once every 2 years, and by the ambassadors or delegates that they meet them in Geneva. Overview. The World Trade Organization is, like its name says, an international organization whose primary purpose is to open trade for the benefit of all the nations around the world. The World Trade Organization agreements are lengthy and complex because they are legal text covering a wide range of activities. But a number of simple fundamental principles run through all of these documents. And just before it ends, these principles are the foundation of all the multilateral trading system.
Next, we're going to talk about the pros and the cons that we have. The main one would be the lower prices of the goods and products that we import or export, then the options like color, types, and textures. That means that with this kind of options, we have economic growth. That means the import and export that we have share their own profits. Then the priority will be the lower of the price of the oil. Like the countries do the trades, lower the tariff on the transportation. That means that the oil get cheaper. Now the cons are the small and local businesses will shut down due to the multinational and the big industries. Then the culture is something that we have endangered due that with the products and services that we bring from the outside, change our perspective and do that make us change our culture. Then the exploitation is one of the main cons that we select here, due that the poor countries change their workforce in order to be cheaper. The next topic would be competitive advantages. That means to specialize the products or service that you have in order to export that and import what we need. This example is between Mexico and USA. That means both are good in producing agriculture products, but Mexico is good producing or harvesting tropical fruits and vegetables, and USA is good producing grains and corn. That means we need to export our products and import their products. In order to do that, we're getting the comparative advantages.
On the importing process, the first step would be deciding the country. First of all, you need to know that there are a lot of different regulations in each country. The next step would be searching for suppliers. If you are a new importer, there are a lot of government agencies who might help you to answer your questions. The third step on importing would be search the duty and taxes. You need to search the duty and taxes that you will pay for the product that you will import. Different countries have different taxes and tariffs that need to be paid in order that you can import a product. Find a reliable forwarder and customs broker. Always work with a reliable freight forwarder or an envial that will provide you with the updates of your shipment. And the last step would be ship the goods on time. You need to know that there will always be delays that might happen, like, I don't know, maybe the product is not done, or the vessel might not sail on time as scheduled. So this is a point that you really need to consider. The export process ends when the exporter is capable of paying their products. The first step would be having an export order. Processing of an export order, it's when the exporter and the importer decide to make a deal and what are the terms of that deal. The second step would be examination and confirmation of the order. Once they are already they already have a deal, they need to examine the order, so everything's okay. The third step would be manufacturing goods. Once everything's okay and they are already settling into decision, the exporter starts processing or manufacturing the goods. The fourth step would be clearance from central excise. As soon as goods have been manufactured, the process of obtaining clearance from the central excise duty starts. The fifth step would be pre-shipment inspection. There are a number of goods who need to be, who require quality certification just to see that everything's all right. Sixth step would be appointment of clearing and forwarding agents. The seventh step would be goods to port of shipment. Once everything's already checked, you already have your inspection formalities and the exercise of clearing made, you are good to go to the port of shipment. Eighth step would be port formalities and customs clearance. That are needed for this point would be shipping deal, contract form, letter of credit, commercial invoice, GR form, and the inspection certificate. The next point would be dispatch of documents. After obtaining your bill of lading from the shipping company, the clearing and forwarding agent dispatches all these documents to the exporter. These documents include the commercial invoice, export promotion copy, drawback copy, clean on board bill, and the letter of credit. The next step would be the certificate of origin. Under receipt above all the comments from the forwarding agent, the exporter now needs to apply to the Chamber of Commerce to look for the certificate of origin. It's dispatch of shipment advice. The next one would be submission of documents, that is where all the documents are. And the last step would be the claim and export incentives. That is when the exporter gets and claims all of the products he is trading with.